and welcome to Graceful Connections, presented by Academy for the Soul. I'm your host, Sophie Bidar, and the co-creator of Graceful Connections, together with Christel Hughes, founder of Academy for the Soul, the online school for intuitive arts. Graceful Connections is an adventure of exploration, discovery, healing, liberation, growth, and truthful expression, which is facilitated, amplified, magnified, and blessed really with grace. As graceful connections are woven between you and our expert speakers, your graceful guides into creating heaven on earth. Every time you join Graceful Connections, not only are you held in the orb of grace and receiving an infusion of grace, but you also claim your willingness to create heaven on earth. And indeed, all it takes is your willingness from a pure heart and with pure intentions. And as your willingness is affirmed, it echoes through the universe. Your intentions are strengthened and answered with clarity, inspiration, empowerment, activation. All that you need to make it true, to make it real, in highest service to the divine and the highest good of all. And if at any moment a voice within you asks, who am I to create heaven on earth? Let grace answer and remind you, you are a child of the divine, and creating heaven on earth can be your natural daily joy. So thank you for being with us, bringing your unique vibration, colors, and energetic imprints, without which the world would be missing. Thank you for answering yes to the calling of grace and for your willingness to create heaven on earth. So let's begin. I invite you to relax, taking a few deep breaths. Breathing out all that does not belong to this moment. Let's bring all your attention, all your presence here and now. We set our intention at our time together, all that is shared in words and beyond the words, all the energies that we call in and flows of our highest good, our evolution, and be of service to the highest good of all. You can decide to open your heart or open it even more and be ready to receive. And you can decide to open your mind or open it even more and be ready to receive. Remembering your connection to the center, to the heart of the earth. And your connection to the center, to the heart of the universe. So that you are held, both grounded and suspended. You are safe, relaxed, ready, and open to receive. Now I'm calling the orb of grace from the heart of the universe and placing the orb of grace around our group, our gathering, and each and every one of us. that we be held in grace and infused with grace all along our time together. Let's take a moment to adjust to the purity and the subtle high frequency of grace, allowing it to dissolve, realign, harmonize, amplify, magnify all that needs to be so, in purest alignment with divine will and the divine order of grace. And breathe. Beautiful. Now, within the Orb of Grace, I'm delighted to welcome our expert speaker, intuitive psychic guide and way shower, John Burgos. Do I need to introduce John? John Burgos, as an intuitive psychic guide, internationally recognized public speaker and way shower, thrives when collaborating with provocative spiritual leaders, bringing light to the shared power of the awakened collective consciousness. Passionate about cultivating leading-edge communities that empower the rising of consciousness, John created the Beyond the Ordinary show, which quickly grew into an interactive community for those seeking ancient wisdom, the next generation of mystical teachings, spiritual awakening and ascension guidance with a pragmatic and coherent delivery. Having been initiated into connecting with higher states of awareness and realms beyond the physical, John's call quickly became to be of service. He is here to bring you back to your soul's wisdom, bringing light to information kept in the dark. It is such a blessing to have you with us today, John. Thank you for answering yes to our invitation in the Orb of Grace, and welcome.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be here, and thank you for the opening invocation. And I feel immersed in that orb of grace. So beautiful, and an honor to be here with you.
Beautiful. It's such a treat to be here with you. Thank you. So everyone, John is here to share his vision and most recent downloads he received about the light workers evolution and really the revolutionary next phase, which comes with a calling to step fully in from witness to mirror. So that's intriguing. And also John is going to lead us through a process to experience a bit later in the call. And on Friday, October the 13th, we'll gather again with John for an intuitive readings galore live call. He'll answer your questions about the next steps of your spiritual awakening, soul purpose, and light worker mission. Now, for the moment, let's dive into our fascinating topic. And I'd like to start asking you, John, what is your take on creating heaven on earth?
Oh, that's such a great question. We look for the reflection of heaven on earth outside of us. And again, I'm not speaking of anything that any of y'all don't know, but the reminder of the internal activations that occur in it. The heaven on earth happens because of us, not because we are in the vicinity of it. It happens not because others created for us or it's created for us. It happens because we're creating that consciousness, those universe, those cosmos within us. And there's a grand awakening that's taken place that is aligning with that truth even more obviously than it has in the past. I believe there's many people who are beginning to walk it in ways that are more obvious to the collective. And by those examples, we're realizing what we're capable of as well.
Yes, I love this. You know, hearing you, there's an expression that came to me is that we're creating ourselves as heavenly on earth. How does that sound?
Absolutely. Oh, I love that description of it.
Well, you inspired it. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing this. Now, my next question to you, and that's where we get into the core of the topic with you. What do you mean by going from witness to mirror for light workers? What does that mean? What is that all
What's
about?
happened for a long time in our communities, and rightfully so, again, we're going through an alchemical evolution and maturity of our human self, of how we have known ourselves as human being, how we've identified, how we have enculturated in order for the collective to prosper, to thrive, to survive in lots of different ways. And through the spiritual community, we've realized that there's been aspects of that, of ourselves, that we have given up for the sake of the collective, for the sake of culture, for the sake of providing resources. And we're in a phase of growth in spirituality where we're going beyond witnessing each other again for a long time. I've done Beyond the Ordinary Show for 10 years. And the majority of the shows that we've done, not all of them, we've glimpsed and touched into these other realms. And they've been wonderful. But we've been witnessing one another. We've been calling each other and saying, look, what we believe does exist, these experiences that were happening, connecting to metaphysical reality is true. And let us find union in that truth. Let me step out of the closet and be willing to speak these experiences that I've been having that are so true to me, but I don't have community in which to speak it in. As we've opened up those realms in those conversations, then comes in the possibility of, well, what's happening inside of me as I disentangle the belief systems that have held me in a space where I didn't believe that I can express my truth, that it couldn't be received, that it had to be held in a silo, that I can pray, but in silence and not live my prayer. And so we've held each other in through processes, through processing of trauma, through processing of learning beliefs, to opening up to the possibility or the potentiality of connecting to a higher source in a much more intimate way than we've ever known how as a collective. And we've been holding each other in the witness. Let me witness you and let me hold you as you go through your experience. Let me witness and hold you as you're going through your trauma, as you're disentangling familial patterns, as you're disentangling past life karma. And the witnessing has been really strong. And it's built up to a collective wave where there's a tsunami of consciousness that's awakening because we have learned to hold the field of integrity within ourselves, of the spiritual nature that is one of the most organic things inside of us, but has been denied for so long. And so we've gotten into a place where we've regained back that power of knowing more so than we ever have. And there's more, but I think that process is just going to unfold so easily with the consciousness that we're holding now and because of the collective power. So in the witnessing each other and holding space for each other and saying, yeah, that's true. And of course, I believe that this does exist. We've plateaued in that up to a particular stage. Whether you believe that you have or not, I am here to tell you that you have. If you're participating in any type of these calls, whether you're new to it or you've been doing this for 50 years, there's a state of accomplishment, I'll say, or graduation and initiation that you have navigated through. And it's really time to start seeing the world, not from where can I be received, but seeing that reflection of others, seeing that in Sophie sitting across from you on the computer right now, see it in the world circumstances that are happening around the world, see it in places that where we're receiving love and where we're not, and realize that all of those circumstances are mirrors for our own awakening. instead of asking what's wrong with them and how can I adjust my life so that I don't have to receive those things that I don't want, or those things that maybe are too much. Receiving love can be quite a challenge, an initiation as well. So really coming into the consciousness that what's directly in front of me is here to teach me something about myself, is here awakening something within me that I haven't had the reflection of to look into in this capacity like I have before, and understanding the gift of the souls that are in front of you, demonstrating to you what's ready to be initiated in your higher vibrational alchemy, and you getting closer to the divine, and you finding your own heaven on earth and becoming an emanation of that. So when we go from witness to mirror, there's an initiation taking place, and it can be extremely uncomfortable because we can be faced with those things that we just don't want to look at anymore. And that's on the receiving end. On the giving end, know as you show up in integrity for yourself and in the light of your consciousness, in the love which you know that you are here to emanate, that sometimes is misunderstood. Know that a lot of times, always, you're acting as a mirror for another as well, either shining their own love back onto them or a judgment of themselves back onto them. Not because you're here to teach them a lesson, not because you're here to awaken them into a higher place consciously, but because we're choosing to be beacons for one another, lights for one another in this. And it goes beyond any comprehensive thought that we have. It is the essence of your being, the totality of who you are, that's awakening this for other people. So your influence in this world comes from this orb of influence that you uniquely carry. And so that's where we're going, and really maturing. A spiritual maturity is taking place as we go from being witness into mirror, and holding that strong space, understanding that when we come again from the foundation of our integrity and our love, that we're always showing up correctly. We're always showing up in the highest. And we're being shown and guided to trust that guidance and not doubt it as much, to really trust our intentions. And in that, we create a collective that is so much more empowered and awakened to what's happening, not just in our world, but in other worlds as well. And it also activates a deeper connection with the divine, because the divine is mirroring back to us. We're ready to receive. We're ready to graduate into. We're ready to become.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's very much profound. What I'm perceiving, one of the things that I'm perceiving as I listen to you, John, is that, well, one of the major effects of that shift from witness to mirror is that in the witness, there's me and the rest of the world, me and what I witness, me and, right? There's this separation is still very present and very, well, embodied and acted upon. There's, yes, me and what I witness, or whom I witness. Whereas in the mirror, there's much more integration, and it's beyond interaction. It's much more than interaction. I am perceiving a fabric. It's maybe like the fabric of a painting, or the painting of the universe, if it would be a painting, an organic animated painting. There's the weaving of all these mirrorings in all directions and in all and all these interactions, as opposed to what used to be much more separated. So that's the first thing that stands out for me as I listen to you.
I love the way that you're describing that, and the example of the threads, because it is so multi-dimensional. And this isn't a light subject, y'all. This is deep, and it's an awakening that's taken place. So having the awareness of this is paramount, because our judgment of others and how they are towards us, or circumstances of how they are towards us, we become more into the truth of how things are happening to us. I mean, for us, not to us. Let me repeat that. How things are happening for us, not to us. And all of these mirrors, there can be strife happening in the world or in your life. And do you really believe a divine being, who we believe is all love, would put us in harm's way? We can have a judgment that we're in harm's way. We can have a fear of the implications of what that harm would bring to us. But as we choose to access the divine, let us ask why. Why are we choosing to go to the divine? There's something innate in us that knows what we're going towards. Why we choose to take our next breath and not just give up. There's something innate in us that realizes that there's a calling to come back more into wholeness. And the only way to come back into wholeness is to be willing to be with those pieces that aren't, and to bring them back home.
Yeah.
So again,
Wow.
it's a deep conversation, and it's open, and
It
my
is.
God's brought it in. It's like it's really an initiatory process that we're maturing into. Again, it's a next phase of a recognition within ourselves and in our personal transformation that we're ready to begin to receive. And from that, there comes compassion for what we receive. There comes perhaps not as much judgment or running away from those things that we'd rather not be reflected back upon us. There comes back not the judgment of who we happen to be for someone else in the circumstance, because somehow as a soul, we agreed to show up for each other in this way. And there's more of that universal understanding that we're liberating each other in the process.
Right. Yeah. I'm seeing an image, how would you call it? Palais des Glaces. There's in a fair or in some maybe amusement park where there's like a palace of mirrors, right? Where you have many, many mirrors that reflect one another, and it can kind of drive you crazy because you at the end you don't know where is the real person, where is the reflection, and there are so many reflections. And what I'm being shown is in one of those settings with a myriad of mirrors bouncing reflections into one another, place a disco ball in one of those settings. And the disco ball by herself, she emanates many, many rays of light, right? And it brings the multidimensionality. Now bring the multidimensionality with the mirroring effect. That's what I'm perceiving. That is kind of the metaphor.
I love that metaphor. And that metaphor is actually also taking me to a place that, let's lighten this up, y'all, because the truth is that this is love. It can seem heady, and there's a lot of things happening in a lot of different layers simultaneously that we just don't have the capacity to fully comprehend. We can feel something's happening on a lot of different levels, and let us be with the expansion of that awareness. But those mirrors, if you look at all those mirrors and everything surrounding you, we can be overwhelmed by it. But the center, the core of you, what's opening in you to receive. And again, you're doing this organically. We are maturing to a place that we're open to receive in ways that we haven't received before. And if we can understand and breathe into the truth that all these mirrors are showing up as an emanation of love, every single one of them are a gift from the divine as an emanation of love to bring you closer to home than you ever have been, to bring you to that space of awe and wonder within yourself. To be the universes and the cosmos within the sacred space of you. And as you bring that in, you can't help but to be a walking emanation of what you're allowing in. It's all showing up for love. Some of it may be uncomfortable. Some of it can even be horrifying at times to receive that which we don't want to receive or aren't ready for. Sometimes we don't want to receive the truth because it's not comfortable. But the receiving the truth of how loved we are, I think that's one of the biggest initiations any of us will go through in this human experience, because it's a lot easier to work through the realm looking for where love isn't, and to protect against it, and to know that space, and to find those nooks where just enough love is available so that we can breathe into that and create our nest. But as we're awakening and embodying by a facilitation that's taken place through the mirroring of everything that's happening around us, we are absorbing our capacity to hold that light quotient within our physicality and our energetic field, or auric field, in a very strong manner, that emanation of love. And as we hold that beyond our comfort zone, we're working as light workers, as way showers, with every thought and every action that we have during the fullness of every day. You just can't help but to become that. It's just who you are.
Yeah, that's very advanced way shower, I would say. It's kind of the leading edge of the way shower team. One thing that really struck me also is what you mentioned, that how in this mirroring, it does it push us or force us or makes us come at the highest level of ourselves, at the highest degree of integrity. That's what I personally, I call it taking the high road, and like making a systematic and consistent choice to take the high road over and over again, and at every moment, right? Instead of sometimes allowing ourselves to slack down. Oh, that's okay, it's just one. Like there's kind of a radicalness in the commitment to taking the high road and to showing up at the best that we can at every moment.
Yeah, and that's such a place of, it's so nuanced in that space, right? Because to push ourselves to where we're not supposed to be because of a mental morality code, if you will, because this is what I'm supposed to do, and if I'm love, I'm supposed to be this way. Well, sometimes in your divine mirror and what you're emanating, what you're holding, you can be holding a space that might be triggering to someone, and they may not be receiving it as love. And sometimes you're not even sure why you're saying something that you're saying, or holding a space, or holding a stance, but it's meant to alchemize something in both of you. It's always happening in a reciprocal relationship, always. And there's growth for everyone and in the process. And if we can stay open to receiving what is right for us, to being what is right in the circumstance, not how can I be the best person for this other person? How can I be in right consciousness within myself? Am I in defense? Am I in offense? Or am I in that neutral place in this? And navigating my judgment back and forth between it. Because what happens when we are in this spaces, we can't help but to adjust of what's highest aligned for us, because the opposite of that is so uncomfortable for our hearts.
Mm.
Bodies, for our minds, we go into states of confusion. We go into states of severe doubt. Our bodies goes through inflammation and talks to us in ways because we're not in alignment. Our dreamscapes will come in and bringing waves of anxiety or depression or shutting down. And as we're awakening through this process, through this initiation, there are going to be parts where we're going to doubt ourselves, and we're going to doubt the process. We're going to doubt if we're showing up in our highest. But you'll find that those doubts are very short-lived. We glimpse them, and they may last a day or two, not weeks, of where we judge and tear ourselves down, or years, or a lifetime. We find that alignment, as we land in the truth within our hearts, mind, bodies, and spirit, as they align, there's a pressure release, there's an expansion that takes place. And so the thinking of having to be in that right place of alignment, as opposed to organically being in that right place of alignment and allowing these intelligent sources that live within us to inform us of that truth, is what's really guiding the way. So the way that we have judged it before, or judged others to be, it's let's be curious until we land in our truth of what's in alignment, knowing that we're doing our best to be in that, knowing that we are going through waves of expansion and contraction as we're in this gestation period, again, of a huge rebirthing of what's possible through our manifestations as we create them. And that there's a lot of compassion to have for ourselves and for others. And have faith that there are forces that are working in your favor, that are supporting this maturity that's taken place with all throughout your human vessel. And it's wonderful that we get to experience this, Sophie, because we agreed to come down here for this realm, and we truly are, by doing this, engendering heaven on earth. We are the bridge between an old reality whose time has come to transform, and into creating the new reality that collectively we're building.
Yeah, compassion definitely is a key word, if not the key word. It's like
Yeah.
the prerequisite to every moment, right? We need to come to every moment and to whatever shows up within ourselves and within what is mirrored, and what we are mirroring, what others are mirroring to us. We need to approach everything with compassion for ourselves, compassion for others, for the circumstances, for everything, because it's the only way, it seems to me, it's the only way we can handle the complexity, the apparent complexity of juggling all these bits and pieces of mirroring. If we, without compassion, we would react to every friction, every asperity, everything that is not smooth and that doesn't show up at the best, that fails, that seem to fail, right? So with compassion, at least that's how it appears to me, that it is only with compassion that we can handle all of this together.
And compassion with levity, compassion with lightness of being. Bring humor,
Right.
and love and smile. Let the expansion that's happening in you serve you. Because again, love is flowing through you in new ways. We could say light's flowing as in we're expanding in light. Yes, but what does that mean to you? What does it mean that you're receiving, upgrading your light quotient? It means that your capacity to love, to hold the field of integrity of that. And why is it an integrity? Because it is gifting to you a relationship with divinity, in a more intimate way than you've had before. And you're seeing that and witnessing in others. And if you can have gratitude and joy and excitement for what's occurring, it's only going to make this thing that seems so complex that much easier, because love is simple. We've complicated love for various reasons. We've caused separation, and we continue to cause separation, not just with the mirrors outside of ourselves, but there's so much separation happening internally within us.
Mm.
And so those mirrors, the witnessing has been wonderful so that we can gather our strength. But being able to stand toe to toe with a mirror as it presents itself in front of you. And again, breathing into, wow, this may be hard. This is uncomfortable. This is definitely challenging. I want to fight this. I want to resist it. I want to prove it wrong. And still be in the wonders, like, why is this showing up for me? How can I receive love, even in what I deem as the absence of love?
Okay, I'm writing it down for myself, and I think that's probably a good wrap up for all of us, that a key question that's going to be a tool is, how can I receive love in this instant? Whatever the instant serves to us and mirrors to us. Well, obviously there's going to be some instances that are easier to perceive how I can receive love, but in those other instances, to hold this stance of asking. And as we ask, we're going to be guided, and we're going to be taught, and we're going to grow in our capacity to do so. How can I receive love in this instant?
Let me give you an example, a really easy one. That would seem like, why would I be receiving love in this circumstance? So you're driving down the freeway or down the road, and someone thinks that you did something inappropriate on the road. You cut them off, you didn't go fast enough, whatever it is, and they're yelling at you, and you can feel the energy that they're streaming towards you, and it's so charged, and you're like, oh, and you may want to yell back, you want to curse them, you want to make them wrong. It's like, and so how are you receiving love in that, Sophie? Is there love in that? Perhaps it's reminding you of when someone did that to you before, and it's bringing in a different wave of compassion for it. Perhaps it is taking you to past experience, and you're realizing how you can hold your space without being affected by that heavily charged energy, so that you're not taken to a place that really isn't yours, it's theirs. And perhaps it's just bringing you into the power of this generational mechanism that you have to emanate love. And you can hold the space like, wow, it's like, I don't know what they're going through, but I send them love. I'm not going to judge myself because I didn't do something that was intentionally meant to cause harm to another. So I'm okay. Let me practice not feeling like I'm wrong, like I did something wrong, like I caused something, like I was judged for doing something wrong, because the judgment of doing something wrong can be really charged. And let me let that go. And any other places within myself and other circumstances where I judged myself to be wrong, where I felt misunderstood, let me dissolve the power that has had over me, and let me come back to my center of just being the emanation and generator of love that I know myself to be right now. Let me stop making these circumstances about how someone else is wrong or how I have done something wrong. And let me just be in the awareness of my capacity to hold a vibrational field that allows for the illumination of light, rather than the light being shut down because someone else happened to direct it so strongly at me. let me counter that with just as strong of an impact in my capacity to be an eminence of the divine.
Mm.
And it's coming back, and it's a practice. And the more we practice it, the stronger we hold it. And the stronger we hold it, our field amplifies. And again, and we carry that everywhere we go. It's just, you are a walking temple. You just, and you are now. But realize what you're holding within your temple. And the mirrors are here to demonstrate to us where we're sweeping out some of the dust in the temple, because we're meant to keep that holy place, that sacred place, pure, a place of worship, a place that anybody can come into this home and receive the intention of the love that I'm choosing to emanate, to give, to be an example of.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. That's very profound. One, as you mentioned the temple, one thing that was shown to me is how there are doors in the temple. There are doors that have been shut down, that have been so shut down that they are, and in from such ancient times that they are almost hidden. We can almost not perceive that there is a door there, but actually because there's so much dust and it's just, you know, just so locked, shut down. But those doors will reveal themselves and will, well, for some of them, they will crack open. Others will be maybe more delicately opened. But there's something about doors to the temple that will open and that will have to open. So I guess this is about whole areas of ourselves that we don't even imagine or suspect or have any clue that they exist, are going to reveal themselves, and we're going to find those doors and be able to open them and to expand into those areas, right?
I love that you're bringing this up, because this is very aligned with the guidance that I've been receiving from a new collective that's been coming in. And I typically, having named collectives or wisdom as it's come to me, I'm in the graceful receiving of it as much as I can, and trying to understand and embody and be with the information that comes through me. But this collective, and they call themselves the collective of you, and I've done a lot of research on it, which is really kind of blown my mind. YEW, by the way. There's a gospel of you that was written, that was transcribed from the teachings of the apostles of Yeshua. And the gospel of you predates the book, the Pistis Sophia, which is another gospel, which was, again, these initiations that were taught through the feminine, through the Pistis Sophia. And they were transcribed and later found. And for some reason, that collective has started to come through me. And I didn't know anything about these gospels until after I had received information. I started doing research. But they were very quick to point out to me. And through some of the research, I again confirmed about different gateways. They call them treasuries in the gospels, but for me and for our vernacular, we'll call them gateways or portals that provide access to a deeper, more fluid connection with the divine, with source, to the emanation, the different layers that go up into the expansion of all consciousness. And I have been shown that we are at a point that we're able to receive the teachings in ways that we just haven't been for millennia or ever. And it was taught to initiates through the teachings of Jeshua in this particular gospel. And they held the container, they held the space for it to be inherited by the next generations that were ready to open up those treasuries, those portals, that the seeds were planted so that, and when the time was right, those energetic fields could be accessed. And again, those doorways could be opened. And again, we're at a point in our collective where a lot of the distortion that we're seeing around the world is also acting as an influence, a contraction that is forcing us in certain ways to look in places that we haven't looked before. And again, in our spiritual communities, so we've started looking from within. We've known that there had to be more. We've been willing to be the heretics and the black sheep of society. And the heretics and the black sheep are the ones that begin to change society. So understanding that, and as we open up to those parts within ourselves, we reach a certain level of consciousness that we can understand these teachings and these initiations in ways that we couldn't have received them before. We just didn't carry enough of that ascended light to be able to unlock the thresholds that we have access to cross. And so it's very much awakening in our collective. It speaks volumes to what you have done, what you all have done listening on this call, where other people like you in their own right are doing to release distortion within themselves, to open even greater to the kingdom of heaven that is who they are, and to unlock those treasuries that you have the keys to now.
And that the doors reveal themselves that were not even to be perceived, right? So
it's not for us to search for those doors, but as we're ready, those doors will be revealed to us.
Right. Okay, that brings me to what I mean. I have so many questions, but I need to be selective. One key question that really resonates with what you just said. I wanted to ask you about this initiation that you talked about, from witness to mirror. How does it happen? Is it something we call for? Is it something that just falls on us at some particular time? Is it something that is somehow cosmically organized, that is on our journey? How does this happen?
It's a change of perspective and awareness. It's a change of perspective and awareness. If you're someone who is still in a place where you feel that things are happening to you, you're victimized by your financial circumstances or your relational situations, or you're subject to what's happening around the world and the authorities that run that, as we've assigned them as authorities, then we're still in a place where there's a lot of witnessing that is necessary so that we can be held in a place that we come back into more of our innate strength, more of the light of our soul that is here for the experience, rather than here in confusion of suffering that exists because we come from a different place where that's not possible. Rather than wanting to run home to a place that we came from, again, that heavenly realm, being aware that there's something in us that's growing for the sake of something else that we know is possible, and that we came here not to just experience this world and to leave it as it was, but that we came here to influence this world through our beingness, through where we're open to receive. So again, as we're in this place of being witnessed, we can be seen, we can discharge, we can release, we can allow Gaia to take what isn't ours and to finally let it go. We can go through that place where perhaps as a soul, we said, okay, for the family lineage and the soul group that I belong to, I'm here to have this experience so that we can finally be free of that karma that has bound us in that particular pattern, and that we get to break free of it. And I'm here to break that. So all the suffering, all the confusion that I've gone through, it's actually been here, not just me, for for a divine purpose as well. But first and foremost, if I'm experiencing it, then I'm a conduit for its transformation. So let me show up in that transformation and let me seek those places. Let me be open to receive those places of support, those places that will give me the compassion that I need for the journey that I've been on, the places that can tell my inner child is like, hey, we're here to hold you. I'm here to hold you, even though you've never been held in the way that you've needed to. In the witnessing that says, I'm seeing what you're seeing. You're not crazy receiving information from those collectives. That past life dream that you had or experience that you had, there's a truth to that. And when you're coming into a reconciliation of the injustices that have been experienced for the sake of the experience, for the sake of discovering source through the polar opposite of what source is, or what we deem source to be, and to bring it back into balance. So the witnessing part of it, and as we do our work and we come back and we regain our heartfelt and expanded awareness, like there's something else running this. Something else is possible. I'm breaking free of the chains of the past that I am no longer a part of. In that awareness, I'm choosing a new reality, leveling up, and let me see through a different lens now. If that relationship was this, I don't have to choose the same dynamic in the relationship. And I have the strength and the wherewithal within myself because of the support of being witnessed through others, through my evolution, that I'm not afraid to make a different choice anymore. The fear of the separation from the illusion doesn't scare me as much as it used to, because the emptiness that I feel of my separation from source, it's much greater than the other fear. And so we have this organic process that happens in us that we realize that we've been holding on to something that's only kept us separate from where we've wanted to be. And again, this is very organic. And so the witnessing allows us to gain strength, to calibrate, to hold a stronger foundation of that innate truth. And as we get initiated into the mirror aspect, it just shows up organically. But what has to happen is that we have to be willing and open to say, okay, let me be that. Let me receive that. Okay, you're showing up for me in this way. It's like, let me question more deeply. Let me bring my critical, beautiful, divine mind and let it serve me. Where before I reacted on the first 2 or 3 surfaces of what was happening, let me pause and let me take those thoughts and the impulse that is inviting a transformation in down 3, 4, 5 layers within myself and be curious as to how I can use this as an impetus of love rather than have to bring it in defense and align it with a force of separation. And so as things are occurring, being curious, wow, what's available? What's happening here? Why is someone judging me in that way? Why am I being attacked in a way that doesn't make sense to me? Or if it does make sense, where can I define myself by who I am now, not by who I used to be? And that's still being held against me, even though I've evolved, even though I've brought retribution not only within my heart, but offered it to another. Whether they received it or not, if it was authentic for me, it's no longer up to me. But I will no longer be a prisoner of somebody else's prison. And I no longer hold myself in a field where I have to wait until someone else feels that they're saved for me to redeem myself. And so we're opening up through different layers of just being with these circumstances and being curious. What we're stepping away from is judgment in the way that brings us down. And that's a lot of it is self-judgment that comes in. A lot of the warring is happening within us. As much work as we've done in personal development, the greatest darkness and density that's being held in our collective is that of where we're judging and blaming and shaming and guilting ourselves. And we have to be aware of that to release those patterns, not just for ourselves, but for the collective as well. As we release it for ourselves, we no longer hold the strength of that field for others to be able to play and dive into it like we are. We're often a different alternative by interacting with us, just in what we're being, not because we have to teach anything or say anything or demonstrate anything. We just become walking emanations of that truth. So it's an initiation, and it requires just a change of perspective in how we see things. It's raining outside. Oh my God, wow, it's raining outside. The plants are getting water. I can go play in the rain. Wow, these other things, like, what's our perspective? How can we be fluid with what's happening? Be curious. And where can we find and amplify whatever little of a silver lining there might be in it that we can perceive? There's so many things happening all at once, and they can be kind of like that trickster energy. Sometimes things that appear really bad can actually have really good implications. And sometimes things that we feel are going to be really good, it's like, oh, wait, they're going to take me somewhere that I didn't anticipate. And just be open. Not that we have to be on alarm or on alert or hypervigilant. It's the fluidity of your curiosity and innocence and bringing in the critical mind into the circumstance and the open heart that's allowing for greater and faster transformation to occur. This mirror effect, it's going to catapult whatever timelines that we thought that we had to navigate through, and accelerate our potentiality into the divine grace, into that orb of grace. It's here, and it's right on time.
It is, yes, absolutely. So much to take from what you shared, John. Thank you so much. One question that's coming to me as you mentioned the layers, and I can see how there's this major shift from judgment into compassion, empathy. Are there layers to compassion and empathy? Are there different levels or layers or stages of compassion, of empathy that you see, that you perceive?
Oh, most definitely. And that I can break them down into very basic ones. Of course, it gets much more detailed and intricate, but everybody's an empath. Everybody can feel in some way. And whether you choose to open that or close that, that's a whole different circumstance. But everybody has the ability for empathy and to feel and to perceive. The gift of intuition, the gift of the gut feeling, the gift of connecting to the divine in whichever way that you do that. Whichever way that you do that. Everybody has that. So we'll just start that as a basic. And if we go into our type of communities and how we think of empathy, there's the empath that comes in and feels everything. And you're just tossed around. It's like you'd rather hermit or just put yourself in an environment that feels good to you. It's like, thank you very much, and this is all that I want. And we'll say that's a coping empath. And then you can create a good life there, and you can be aware of what you feel, and you can choose to act on some of those feelings with others and choose to keep some to yourselves and feel like your throat's shut down, your heart's kind of contracted, but you can navigate it. You can navigate. It's like, or maybe it's difficult to navigate, but you still find a way to navigate it. because again, those feelings are just so much and you're so aware. There's a second stage of empathy where you're aware of that, but that you're aware that what you're feeling, that there's a fluidity to it. You become more aware to slow down in it. You become more aware of that there's practices that allow you to ground into yourself. And you're okay being at a big concert with a lot of people. You're okay going into the crowded restaurant and feeling the energy and navigating in a way that your field isn't as heavily influenced where it's shutting you down. And so you become much more powered in that you're aware that you're an empath. You're aware that you have a capacity to influence others through your energetic field as the energetic field influences you. And so there's a reciprocal relationship. So in the second stage of empathy, we start taking on more responsibility and awareness and action taking ability. It's like, hold on a second, I can navigate this in a way that didn't feel quite as comfortable before. I can vocalize different things, not from a shaming and blaming and guilting the energy of why I can't function. Rather, oh, I'm noticing this and I'm going to choose this instead of this. But again, it doesn't come from that big protection. It comes from relaxing more into it, bringing in practices that support you, bringing in an intentionality for you to seed the field with the essence of your intention. And then you begin to realize what your intentions are more fluidly. My intention is to be protected. Wow. Do I really want protection? What is it that I really want? I want to feel like I belong. Oh, let me amplify my intention that I belong and be okay feeling where I don't, so that I can also find where I am. If my intention is to be loved, wow, it's like, ooh, I wasn't being loved there, and I was judging that, and I was being so much love there, and I wasn't received, and I was being so much love there, and I was received. Oh, okay, I can kind of navigate these waters a little bit better, and I'm still okay. I can still breathe. I'm okay. I'm not as exhausted as I used to be. Watching the news, being with my parents, going to the company Christmas parties. Um, okay, I can actually enjoy this a little bit more. And I'm starting to trust these downloads, these psychic hits, these awarenesses of what's going on. And I'm turning left instead of turning right when I'm guided to. And I'm kind of playing with that. Someone calls, I'm curious. I think it's so and so, and wow, it actually is so and so. Wow, something intuitively is awakening that I'm choosing to play with more instead of using those powers to try to protect myself and put myself in a shell and in a hole. So a lot of y'all are navigating that second stage of empathy. There's the third stage of empathy where you're aware of all these dynamics. You're just aware. And you allow the emotions, the feelings, the energy, all of it to run through you as a catalyst for whatever is in distortion within your field to shake out of you, and also as a catalyst for that light that's expanding within you to gracefully, fluidly open you up and be it. And so in that empowered, empathic place, we serve as heart activators for ourselves and for others. We're aware that our actions and our thoughts have a direct influence, and we take responsibility for our actions and our thoughts. We align with those more intently, purposefully. If you don't know what your purpose here is in this life, is to receive love and be a conduit of love. Whatever expression you find to do that in, that's somatics. And how can you do that in your purpose? Well, I want to find my purpose. Be love. And in being love, you'll find the opportunities to express that love, reveal themselves, and support you in your growth towards it. But again, in this third stage of empathy, We become walking emanations of what's possible. We're free. We're no longer a victim of the world, that we are affecting the world in the most positive light that we're capable of. Do you have to influence hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of people to have an effect? No, absolutely not. But we get so caught up, but I want to serve and I want to heal people. Why? Why? I find that most of us in that second stage of empathy want to heal others because there's an aspect of us that isn't healed in what we're trying to heal in someone else. I want them to stop suffering. Well, where are you feeling that suffering so much as an empath that you want them to stop suffering so that you can stop suffering? The third stage of empathy, it's not about you picking up anybody else's energy and feeling that and trying to transmute it so that you can feel better. You're okay with the waves that come through you, knowing that they're waves. That it's not the oceanic consciousness that you carry, but the divinity that's emanating through you. You're aware and you can hold space. You can be a witness and mirror for those that are going through their suffering and hold the space of what's possible in that calmness of the ocean that you're carrying. And that brings the collective into balance through you emanating that. Now, what happens in the three stages of empathy is we weave through different parts of it in different stages of our life and through different days, depending on what's coming up. But the goal really is to become aware of that third stage and to use it as a guidepost, to use it as a possibility of what you're becoming, and to hold that for longer periods of time. And the longer that we can hold it, the more that you emanate that, soon you find that you're navigating in that realm most of the time, rather than fluctuating from 1 to 2, back into 1, holding 2 for a long time, and then maybe glimpsing 3. And again, it's a product of awareness. It's a product of choosing the perspective that you want to live your life through and to becoming, embodying that state of awareness through this organism that we are. It's powerful work, and it's not as complicated as it seems. It's just a choice. It's a daily practice. There's no getting it wrong. It's just that when it's off a little bit and your body and your mind are informing you that you're off for whatever reason, it's like, okay, how can I bring myself back? How can I bring myself back into center? And again, sometimes it takes a few minutes, sometimes it's a few days, depending on what's running through our system, because we're still resolving old judgments, old traumas, old stimulus that affected us at such deep levels. But again, we're transmuting through those so much more quickly than we ever have. And it's amazing what's available, because again, these treasuries, these portals that were not as accessible to as many before are opening for many of us to receive.
Yeah, and I think we can perceive how the third phase of the empath, it really matches the whole of mirrors, right? We ideally we want to be in this third phase of the empath, to live in the whole of mirrors. And as you were describing this third phase, I heard the liberated empath. So it's, yes, it's the empowered empath, but I feel that there's even more to it than an empowerment, that it is the liberated empath. It's like totally liberated from, that's how it is presented to me. And I love it. And the empath in me loves it and wants to be this liberated empath.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you brought those words in. That's so resonant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for, well, calling them through. One thing I want to ask you, among so many, one thing I will focus on, one question. So you've talked a lot, obviously, about the evolution and this revolutionary phase from witness to mirror. Is there anything else right now that you are sensing for the collective over the next year that you want to share, that you haven't shared already, and that you have to, in your heart, to share? If so, please do.
I don't know if I want to. Yeah, there's a great transformation that's occurring. We've been in it, and it's evolving, and it's speeding up. Those things that we've been aware of in the world that needed to come into balance, the effects of not paying attention to those things are going to start revealing themselves more loudly. It's not that it's a surprise that there's climate change. It's not there's surprise that there's tension in the Middle East. We've known about these things, and they're coming up for transmutation. And so as they come up, there's going to be a density as it rises. We are going to witness and be a part of these things coming to a resolution in one way or another. I believe they're coming into resolution for this activation into higher states of consciousness and well-being, and what's possible as we've been navigating 3D structures going into 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th dimensional realities, not just here on Earth, but the effects that they have in other cosmic realities as well. And so there is a time of reckoning that the collective is navigating. What does that mean for you? Well, it means what you make it of it for you. If it's affecting you directly, you're going to have a different relationship. If it's affecting you indirectly, what can you do to influence it in the way that is here for maybe one of the reasons why you came here, to activate what's possible in the light, in the divinity, in this orb of grace, what's possible in the new earth that the collective is creating. Now, you and I have an interpretation of what new earth is, and we paint a very beautiful picture of what that is. Other people's new earth may not look so beautiful, but what are we influencing with our being? And so what do? What's here for us? What are those circumstances mirroring within me that's coming into resolution? How can I go through the different layers and find out where is it within myself that I'm creating war and judging parts of myself and separating and wanting to kill off a part of myself so that I can feel safe? Where is it as those things are coming to me, is where I'm witnessing the destruction, or my interpretation of the destruction of Gaia? Where am I destroying myself with what I'm consuming, with who I'm being, with the density that I'm choosing to pass on to others? Where can I come into great alignment, understanding, awareness, and compassion with those parts of myself? And how can I help myself to start climbing out of the shadows and into the light? And so as these circumstances are triggering judgment, fear, rage, anger, whatever within my being, let me go within. Let me see where I still hold those. Let those things serve as a mirror, what I'm ready to resolve within myself, and let me be devoted. And really, this is a commitment. Let me be devoted to that resolution. And in that, again, you become a walking, living emanation of what's possible when you're aware that there's never been a war that's ended a war, where you're aware that the war within you at some point has to end, so that the mirror of that does not become a necessity for your brothers and sisters that walk this earth with you. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. It's interesting to me because this morning there were some thoughts coming through my mind about questions, that difficult questions need to be asked. And I contemplated, it just went through, and I contemplated this for a moment, and I could see many different areas to which it applies. But now it echoes. It's like the questions were showing up this morning already before we have this conversation. And
I was in that as well. We needed to have a different conversation. Yes.
Right. What I'm getting from what you just shared is that we need to be ready to face more density and more intense density, and to be prepared and ready and willing to go into this density with the willingness and the ability to ask those difficult questions, such as, where am I at war with myself? Where am I being toxic to myself? Where am I destroying myself? Those are the difficult questions that we need to bring in the density. And as we ask those questions with a pure heart and with the innocence that you mentioned, that to be willing to receive whatever is the answer and to handle it with love, that's how we can infiltrate the density and bring light within it, and to walk through this density and bring light to it. Is that correct?
Yes, and I would have to say that we don't have to be willing anymore. We're heading into it, whether we're willing or not. It's just happening. And so, and you're prepared. Now you can have the thought and the fear that you're not prepared. You can have the resistance that says that you're not willing. But guess what? You're going into it with all of us. We're all heading into that reality. Now, our perspective, how we perceive it, how we empower ourselves to emanate the truth of our love rather than emanate the destruction of separation is up to us, and our willingness to be uncomfortable as we navigate through that. Now, again, willingness is a big word because you're going to be uncomfortable through it no matter what. If you show up with it with the intention of riding the wave, more grace will present itself for yourself and for others around you. If you start kicking and fighting against the currents and against the wave that's crashing on you, you're going to get tumbled around. And so be aware as your physicality, as your physical body, your emotions, your heart is informing you as things arise, surf the waves of wisdom that they're bringing to you. Anxiety, anger, guilt, shame, those energies, while we may judge them as being wrong, they can also serve to inform us of something that is shifting. They can serve to inform us and provide a quick hit of something that's ready to crack open in a different way. So don't be so quick to eliminate those things from the wholeness of who you are, because in your experience, you are part of that because you've embodied certain aspects of it, but we can embody them in their most empowered state of informing us so that we may discern, so that we may choose. And again, be in the intelligence of the mirror that's presenting to us so that we can receive the information. We can feel it through our mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. And we can take the next right action for us. And in that, the mirror will keep emanating our next right step, the next expansion, the next releasing, the next receiving that we have access to.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for bringing the clarity, for sharing your perception, your vision. Well, what's coming? Yeah, it's coming. It's coming no matter what. Obviously, you're here to share what you perceive, but you're also here to support, accompany, teach, maybe. Well, you're gonna let us know in what different to guide, what different capacities you're here to bring, beyond the sharing and the magnificent sharing that you, and I love how you are able to bring such profoundness and depth and immensity of concepts and complexity into a clarity that we are able to hear and to receive. And well, it may take a little bit to absorb it, maybe even to return to listen again and to catch more subtlety of it, but you really have a great talent to bring it together and to make it accessible. So thank you so much for that. Now, to take it one step further, you're also here in other capacities, and in that regard, you've created an amazing offering, Living in the Extraordinary. That's a membership for spiritual awakening, and we'd love to hear all about it. So for everyone to follow, you can go to gracefulconnections.com/John2, or just simply scroll down the page to discover John's special offer. So John, would you reveal what you have created for our audience?
God, absolutely. This has been such a joy for me. It's years ago, I was guided that I was going to start opening up to do private sessions again with clients. And it had been years. It had been about 7 years since I had worked one-on-one with clients. I'd focused strictly on Beyond the Ordinary show. And it was so fulfilling, and it took up a lot of my time. There was so much joy. But the guides were coming in. It's like, nope, it's time to start reaching out and working with individuals. And it's like, okay, in what time? And so I opened up 4 or 5 slots a month to work with clients, but not more than that because it's just too overburdening. But I had a dilemma. It's like, how can I just make it so exclusive? Because the price point with my time and the energy expenditure there has to be a balanced exchange in that one-on-one time. And not everybody can access that. It's not really made available for people who don't have the financial means to, if they desire to work with me and choose me as their divine mirror. Then it felt very exclusionary of income brackets that didn't feel right to me. So I decided to create a membership platform and make it very accessible so that anyone who came onto this membership, we'd work one-on-one in a group setting. But I'd take live calls, I'd answer questions, we'd into themes that was coming up, we'd go into tools of what was unraveling and our expansion of consciousness, whether through channeled information, light language, pulling tarot cards, community discussion, all of it. And so I decided to offer that membership, and we've been running the membership in a very tight group. I think there's maybe 50, 60 members in it now. I haven't really advertised it too much. I've been a little behind the scenes and incognito because the community's just been building. And it's beautiful. We meet every Monday, typically at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and we get on calls, and I bring in the weekly information as my guides are bringing it through me, or what's running in the collective. And we go into deep expansions, not just to bring in an understanding and perspective, but how do we bring abundance to it? How do we bring joy and passion? How do we bring all of this that is emanating through us and be the source of heaven on earth that we get to be? And in our conversation today, we talked about a lot of complex, we'll call it potentialities, that are very lit up in the collective field right now. But we open up the potentialities, like what's unfolding for you? What richness of spirit, what vitality of life can you be in now? Knowing all of this, carrying all this, again, knowing that this is happening for you, knowing that this awakening is happening to liberate you, And in that liberation, it's not something that you get to benefit from later or in some other lifetime. You get to experience it right here, right now. And your world expands, limiting thoughts get released. We bring in, again, not just channeled information, but also very practical tools for re-alchemizing our neural pathways, for opening our heart, for breathing into the expansion of our chakras as they awaken and ascend into other forms of light. So the membership's amazing. Again, the group that's there is phenomenal. I'm ready to receive more people into it. And what an amazing opportunity to be able to offer this here at a place that feels like so much like home to me, with Christel Hughes and the Academy putting her energy into us. And she and I are such dear friends. And she was such a catalyst for my awakening as well, that it just felt like the perfect place to offer a trial membership. We're offering it for 3 months for $97. It's typically, those are in about $210 for the 3 months if you're going full access. When you become a member, you'll also have access to all of the live calls that we've had going back up to 2020. So there's about 200 live calls that you have on there, and they're all titled in specific ways. There's some great activations. I give suggestions on a couple of videos that I think you should watch right away that are really going to help to re-entrain and to expand potentials in your field. And it's just a lot of fun. So again, we get to meet in community in that way. And there's a profound depth of tools of wisdom that gets channeled through. I also share tools that I receive in sessions that I receive from other people that I have permission to share. So it's a treasure trove of different activations and processes. And I hope that you all join us there.
Yes, thank you. It is a treasure trove. I must say, when you told me that it is, I believe is $69 per month is the regular price, right? When I checked within, I heard the value of it is tenfold. So you've put a price to make it accessible, which is very generous of you, to make it possible for people to join. But what I've been given in terms of value, if the value of it can be estimated, it is tenfold at least. And with that, so that's a good indication for you. And with that, you're offering for Graceful Connections 3 months for $97, and we have a 2 payment option. So it makes it even more accessible to jump in, to get on board with you. And what I'm perceiving in terms of role, would you say your role is that of being a mentor in this configuration?
Absolutely. Oh, I hold the space without a doubt. I'm definitely
Right.
mentoring in that space, but also opening up to the potentiality. So I won't always show up in the teacher role. I'll show up in curiosity as to what's coming through other people as well. And again, I take live calls, we take questions. The audience is very interactive, but my role is really to hold the field steady and to expand upon it. I'm receiving very clear understanding and visions of octaves of ascensionary energy. And for me, it's to guide to those octaves as I hear them and feel them during a call, so that everybody is activated, I was going to say, from the interaction. And again, and in the 3 months, that's 12 modules of live calls, an hour and a half typically every module. So it's a lot of content, a lot of interaction, and it's wonderful. Again, it's my sacred space, and it's a temple that I want to invite people into.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm sensing that once we get on board, we want to stay in the ship with you. But that's another story. But and well, future will tell. But thank you for offering this very exclusive combination of those 3 months. I have 3 questions for you. Let's start with one that is very practical, but I know that it's on many people's minds. So there are calls every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific. Some of us are on different time zones or have different schedules. Can we participate even though we cannot be on the live calls? Are there ways to send questions to you or to send something? Yeah, can we participate without being on the live call?
Absolutely. You can send in questions to our support team and we can have those queued up for next time. There are times that I do calls at 12 p.m. Pacific to make it more accessible to our community in Europe. So we were having those once a month. We may go back to those, but we do offer them from time to time because I want to interact with you. I want to be in community with you, and your presence again amplifies the field for all of us. So we're leaning more towards that. There's replays. You can send questions in. There's a Facebook community group that there's so much support. The friendships that have been formed from that group have been amazing. And a group of us from the membership also, I held a retreat in Northern California last March. Was it March? I'm losing track of time. Anyway, it was last spring, and a lot of us got to meet each other in person for a lot of us for the first time.
That must have been a very beautiful, very beautiful gathering and very profound.
And I would have more of those gatherings. And what happens in the membership also, if you stay on as an active member, there is a discount on special offer packages for Beyond the Ordinary. So as a member, you get a certain discount on any package that you buy because you're a member. As I'm doing retreats and guiding, I do immersions on Hawaii one-on-one. There's retreats that are coming up that are starting to be programmed for different activation sites that are coming in, and members will have first access to it if there's limited spaces, and they'll also have discounted pricing for those events as well.
Beautiful, thank you. All right, second question. How do I know this is for me?
Feel into your heart. Feel into the conversation if it's for you. The beautiful part of it is you can participate, you can download videos from the library and see how it resonates for you. It's how do you know it's right? Trust your guidance in it. If there's resistance and if there's like judgmental resistance, I'd invite you to check into some of that judgment to see what it might be stimulating in you. Or if it's just a clear no, then honor the clear no. But whenever there's like heavy resistance, like, oh, what's coming up? Again, whenever that mirror is showing up, it's like, I'm curious. I'm so curious. But when my no is just a calm no or just an absolute no, it's easy. It's not difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun being in the group. So we get to play in there also.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I believe we know. We need to allow ourselves to know that we know, and to know that we know when it's a yes, when we know when it's a no, and when it's in between, there's something going on there, and we need to be ready to go and scratch beyond the surface and to, well, let's start playing the whole of mirror games, right? And applying it right away to those questions, for example, practical questions. So feeling in our hearts right now, after the conversations tomorrow, after this conversation tomorrow, feeling in our heart, is that for you? Having direct access to John as a mentor, as a guide, as a teacher, as a healer, bringing all this, I'm seeing like a multitude of not only tools, but I'm seeing colors and streams of consciousness. It's much more than tools that you are bringing.
It's a collective field. It's definitely a collective field, and there's just no mistaking it. I can provide you practical tools that we can have great conversations, that we can have fun, but there's an eminence of the intention that I hold and that the members hold as well. And we're amplifying through our beingness that's inviting you into a state of consciousness to know yourself in an intimate level that you have more access to. And that I hold very firmly in my field. I am here. I'm very aware of my purpose of to embody and to be a mirror of what that embodiment looks like as we're creating a new reality. I'm very clear that that's what my purpose is here in this incarnation. I've navigated to a place where I can bring in that clarity with total confidence of what that purpose is, and how that translates through me is not up to me. It's however the divine chooses to emanate that through me, through the circumstances, the potentials that get presented in front of me, and the actions that I choose to walk towards those. And each one of those actions brings in a new understanding, a new awareness. And each of those new awarenesses is something that I get to bring onto everything that I do, including the membership.
Yes, thank you. What I'm perceiving very clearly is that this membership and all this time with you and that time with you and in community is the perfect place to experience the whole of mirrors, to train ourselves to
Yes.
become right, to become masterful in the hall of mirrors, because this is where these conversations can take place and support can be offered. And yeah, it seems to me that for all that you've shared in the first part of our time together, and this whole concept of the mirroring, and let's call it the hall of mirrors, for all those who are either already there and bumping into the mirrors, and like you can bump and hurt, feeling they're hurting themselves, and they want to be much more savvy in navigating the whole of mirrors, or those who are ready to take the shift from witness and to step into the hall of mirrors. That's the perfect place to do that.
Oh, beautiful. I love that reflection. It's a fantastic place to do that. Yes.
Perfect. My last question, maybe you've answered it already, but let me ask it anyway, and maybe you'll summarize, or maybe there's something else. If there was one thing that you would point out to that makes it so special and so unique, what would that be?
Oh my goodness. There's so many special and unique things all over. Um,
Hmm.
I'm aware of the unique energy that I bring into this particular platform. And like you, Sophie, you carry a very unique vibration that emanates, and people that are attracted to you are ready to receive that, and you activate each other. And what I'm aware that I bring into this collective group is, again, a particular frequency, a commitment to myself to evolve. And as I continue to evolve, I can't help but to share that with others. So is it unique to me that my life path is to continue seeking and to continue growing, not for the sake because I feel like I have to fix something that's wrong, but for the sake that I know that I'm heading towards something that's right.
Yes.
And to have those awakened, awe-inspiring experiences, and to get to be a field that holds that for others to receive so that they may know what's possible as well. That's a potent field to be in. And if it resonates for you, that's uniquely what I feel that I bring in through just what's inspired through my heart. I don't prepare for the calls or have lesson plans in particular ways. Not typically. Sometimes I do because I'm very guided to do that. But this is very much showing up with friends at the coffee table and discussing and speaking to what's in the field. Because I find when I plan out lessons or when those things are done, I'm preparing for something based on past experiences. And in presence, I'm being with what's here and expanding into future potentials, future activations. So that unique field that I carry, and being willing to explore from an unknown, and for us to discover that together. I think that's pretty special and pretty unique.
It is, and I love your answer because, well, it does resonate absolutely. And actually, as I was asking the question, I was hearing at the same time that the answer, what's so special about it, is John, and that's what you just said. The frequency, the commitment, the determination. It is all that you bring that makes it so special. So I love that I'm receiving this answer from
And Sophie,
different directions.
yeah, you do it also. We do it. We don't try to be something for other people for the sake of winning influence. We're just ourselves. And in that, we invite a field. It's in that. There's no striving towards for a manipulation of what we can get from it. We just can't help but to show up and who we are and express from there. And that's the currency of this age that we're stepping into, that value proposition, not who we can bend ourselves to be so that we can earn something, whether it's money, attention, fame, whatever it is. It's the currency of the heart and the richness of that connection and the abundance of opportunities that those connections bring. That's the currency of the new world that you and I are creating. So, so beautiful to me, and such a beautiful investment into the truth of what's unfolding, rather than investing in systems that can no longer thrive.
Right. Yeah. And thank you again for making this investment so accessible for our community. So to wrap it up, it's 3 months of the membership, living in the extraordinary light, LITE, living in the extraordinary. And I love that it's called light, right? It lightens up right from the name. Very generously priced, $97 for 3 months. With you have
12 live calls
for 4 calls per month, per month, right? Plus the archive, the whole treasure box, and all that you bring in addition. So on the special offer page, you have all the details. There's a whole list. We're not going to go through the whole list, but you can certainly please go and read through it. There's so much that is packed to it, but it is structured around these Monday calls. So thank you so much for offering this, John. Now, you've been very generous already. I'm gonna ask you for a little bit more. We would love to have an experience with you. Is there a process, something that you would be willing to offer to our audience today? If so, would you lead us through it?
Absolutely. I did have another offer in place, and when you asked me to write about it to you, I was like, it's going to change. It's going to change. So we were preparing for a process, and I surrendered into what wanted to come instead of what I thought I needed to lead. And this morning it was very clear of what was here. So if y'all want to take a couple of deep breaths and just relax, we've been on the call for a while. There's so much energy that's streaming through here right now. That we're receiving and expanding into as well. And just relax a little bit, maybe move your arms a little bit, move your body, just to kind of move the energy as it's running through your system to come into balance. Take natural deep breaths. Come in, and I invite you to close your eyes. I'm going to do the same. And as you close your eyes, I want you to feel, just find a place where you can feel, see, or even sense, even if it's slightly, an energetic current running up the center of your body, up through the center of your spine, sending waves of grace, weaving divine light in your system, starting from the base of your feet, going up through that central cord, receiving it all the way through each of the chakras, your roots, your second chakra, your sacral, your heart, your throat, your third eye, up through the crown. And breathe in the pulsing energy that is an organic emanence of the light and love that you are. And as you give yourself permission to feel the grace of your love having a relationship with you, breathe deeply and exhale gently as you receive yourself in your light, in the purity of your divinity. And as you breathe, allow that energy to keep expanding through you into your physical body, up through your shoulders, taking up space in the chair that you're sitting in or the desk that you're surrounding yourself in. And breathe in and allow this sphere of light, the sphere of energy to encapsulate you, growing larger and larger and larger, giving yourself permission to take space with this love in front of you, behind you, to the left of you and to the right, above you and below you. Expand this energy and go further and see if you can take this energy out as wide as the place where you are right now, as wide as the house that you're sitting in right now, as wide as the office space, as big as your car, wherever you may be. Take up and encapsulate all of that space. Feel the divinity, the grace, the light, the love that runs through you. As you bring this into yourself, I want to invite you to think of a place, a person, a thing, a dream that brings love into your heart. It could be holding your baby when you took her home the first day from the hospital. It could be a wonderful moment that you've had with your beloved, your divine union. It could be the love that you had as you hugged and you said goodbye to a loved one who is transitioning, and the purity of love that you felt at that moment. It can be the sound of a baby laughing, the joy of feeling your pets greeting you at the door. Anything that would ignite a chemical, emotional wave of love running through you. And hold that loving thought, the burst of light from that circumstance, and allow it to expand into the sphere that you've created. And if you can, let that love well you up in tears and the emotions of being and receiving love simultaneously. And breathe in and be this love for a few breaths. Feel yourself as the force of love that gets to receive and be this impetus of consciousness. As you're holding this field, I'm going to ask everyone on this call listening to the replays to come into your authority of love. And I'll ask you gracefully to bring this energy and this consciousness of love to any place on this earth at this moment that is experiencing war and turmoil and confusion, and that you take your sphere of light and light those geographical places, that you take your light with compassion and so much love and such strength, rooted in the truth of the divine that you are, and with compassion, that your love light the hearts, minds of all the beings that are in the confusion of separation. May your love touch everyone, the ones that we deem that are being victimized, the ones that we believe are causing the victimization. May the light of your love touch them all. In your strength, in your awareness, and the authority of your love, may you be a beacon of light and truth for those places that can benefit from the healing of your light and of your love. And as you breathe and expand your love, and you can feel the grace of you in those places, I invite you to also thank Gaia for the space that she holds, to be in gratitude for the enormity of her love and compassion, to be in awareness and in awe of the degree of love and light that she has for you and all that she's gifting you and all the abundance that she has to share with you. The generosity of light, of love, of her connection with divinity being bestowed upon you through the rains, through the sunlight, through the plants, the birds, the elementals. Let her light, her love amplify you so that you may amplify your light and love and have that ripple everywhere in the world, everywhere that you be, everywhere that you speak, everything that you think into, so that you may remember with gratitude the light and love that you are the beneficiary of receiving, and the light and the love that you are the steward to gift on to others. Breathe in the truth of the emanation of this expansion of consciousness that you are. As you take your next few breaths, come back to your space. Come back to the innocence that sparked the impetus of the emotional wave that you felt of love when we began this transmission. Come back into the truth of the power that you wield in sharing the gift of your experiences. And remember that you are the light worker that you came here to be. You're the example of what's possible in love. You are here to embody heaven on earth. And with that, we take our next breath. And we intend to remember this that we hold in every breath that we take, in every word that we speak, in every glance that we bestow onto another. We are light. We are love. We are home. As you take another deep breath, you can come back into your body. back into your presence. Begin to open your eyes slowly. Move your body a little bit so that you can receive and embody even more deeply this energy, this truth that you are. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Mm.
Namaste. We are light. We are love. We are home. Yes, thank you. Just take a moment to let it settle and stay with us. I'd like to comment, John, on something very specific that I've noticed as I was going through the experience. Thank you for offering this magnificent experience. What I've noticed is how through the combination of your voice, your presence, your frequency and vibration, but also specifically your voice, your words, and the pace of your elocution, it's like you summon, that's what I was shown, you summon the streams of love. And I was shown how, let's say there's a pool of love, and as you speak through your voice, words, and pace, you summon from this pool streams of love to go where you direct them. And as I was observing this, realizing this, and experiencing this, what I heard is, so there's the horse whisperer, there's the dog whisperer, and I heard the love whisperer.
I love that you say that. Actually, I was talking to my partner the other day, Courtney, and we were talking into different things, and all of a sudden I just heard soul whisperer. Soul
There
whisperer.
you go.
Whoa, something's happening. And so you bringing up the whisper thing also. And it wasn't a relation to me. It was like this word, this phrase that was coming through. And so for you to speak into that is very powerful and very synchronistic. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us
Oh, oh my God, I love it. Yeah.
to experience this. Like, okay, wow, thank you. So it's so beautiful because, well, because of so many aspects, and of course the timeliness. I think we all understand, no matter what was your initial idea, what made this specific offering be very relevant for today. And thank you for being flexible and responding. It really shows the way you are, the way you act, and the way you operate. And I love that we got to experience what it is to work with you. Well, we get to experience receiving your downloads, your visions, and getting the clarity that I talked about earlier. But I think it's beautiful that we get to experience this other type of offering that you can make. So it gives us an idea of the range of what can happen, and the depth, and the grace that flows through what you are offering on those Monday calls. So I think that's a perfect offering, and thank you so much.
Thank you for the reflection, Sophie. Just receiving that's making me well up. Thank you. It's just
very precious. Thank you. And thank you for everyone who has received this experience, and for being, well, an instrument of carrying that love and yeah, allowing it to flow with you, within you, and from you into those different areas in the world and those different areas of ourselves and of our environment as well. So thank you so much for this offering. I think that was much more than a cherry on the cake. It was like a second cake on the cake of today's call.
My honor to be on here. Really, it's my privilege, and to be able to share in this way, just it expands me into new realms. So what a gift. And thank you for putting this together and the grace in which you hold this. And it's beautiful, and how wonderful for all of us to get to experience this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just the beginning. So all those who are going to join you, and yes, you will know in your heart, if that's for you, if it's calling you to join the Living in the Extraordinary membership for spiritual awakening. So let me wrap this up before I give you the closing word, if there's any closing word that you want to share, John. So everyone, again, go to gracefulconnections.com/John2, or simply scroll down the page, get all the details about Living in the Extraordinary. 3 months of the membership for an incredibly generous price, and it is direct access to John, to his wisdom, his downloads, his visions, his frequency and vibrations, his whispering that we have just discovered and experienced, his signature energy, and all his skills to support your awakening and every next step of your spiritual journey and your divine service. And yes, we'll meet again on Friday, October 13th at 12 p.m. Pacific for Intuitive Readings Galore, a live call with John, who will answer your questions about the next steps of your spiritual awakening, your soul purpose, your light worker mission, or other questions you want to ask John. And if you can't attend the live call, make sure to write your question in advance and then catch up with the replay to receive John's insights and wisdom. Now, for the moment, John, is there any word of closing you would like to offer? You've offered so much already that I almost don't dare to ask you, but I will put the question out there anyway.
I'm glad you asked, because the guidance comes in really strong. And I'd love to end on a very light, humorous, and light note. And we'll call this that for right now. But I'm really guided to bring into awareness the conflicts that are happening in other places of the world right now, as we bring in that energy of love. Again, may we direct that energy to everybody, exclude no one. If there's a part of you that would prefer to give it to one place and not to another, that's judging one as right and one wrong, that's beautiful to be aware of that and be curious as to why that is. But still, with the gift of your generosity, with the divinity of spirit that you be, in unity consciousness, would you be open to sending your love to those places that can benefit the most from them, without needing to determine what percentage goes to who, but just allowing your love to allow its divine intelligence to flow exactly where it needs to land, without needing an outcome of what it'll accomplish, but in the awareness that it is a powerful catalyst for the change that we're all seeking in the unity that we're awakening to. So an invitation into that, and thank you so much for sharing in advance that love and that light with everybody that you're with. Thank you for being the mirror of what's awakening within all of us.
Thank you. And thank you so much for that. And I want to comment on the rooster that is getting more vocal, verbal, and louder. And I'm perceiving that it's a wake-up call for those who need it, that resonating with what you just shared, John, as the final word. Like let's send the love to everyone, and without making difference, and without dosing, and without looking for a specific outcome even. And I'm hearing the rooster, louder rooster, as giving a wake-up call and giving the signal. It's time to operate in that way. If we haven't, now is the time to operate in that way. So thank you, rooster, for giving us this signal. And now let's take a moment to be present once again to the orb of grace, allowing it to remain there, holding us, holding all that we have received today, all that we have experienced, all that we are not maybe even aware that we have received, letting it be absorbed and settle in, holding us, orb of grace, holding us for as long as it serves our highest good, our evolution, and the highest good of all. And I'm closing now by giving gratitude to each and every one of you in the audience. Thank you for answering yes to the calling of grace. Gratitude to you, fascinating John Burgos, for all the wisdom, the brilliance, the offerings, the presence you have gifted us today through all the graceful connections that have been woven with you and your masterful expertise. Thank you for blessing us with your presence and with all that you have offered and gifted us and blessed us with today. Gratitude to Christel Hughes and the Academy for the Soul for offering this platform in which graceful connections grow and expand, impacting our lives, our environment, and the world at large, creating heaven on earth. Gratitude to the Orb of Grace for providing a safe, sacred space for this journey of exploration. And gratitude for all the grace that we are blessed with at every moment, whether we're aware of it or not. It offers all the nourishment, nurturing, the healing, the revelations, the realizations that we open our hearts to receive all along this journey. Gratitude to our higher selves and all the higher beings that guide, support, and protect us. And gratitude to the divine. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Until we meet again, many graceful blessings to you all, to you, John, to you, everyone listening, being present with us. And goodbye now. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Sophie. See you Friday.
Thank you. See you Friday.